Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harper on Rugby preview show on our YouTube channel. Please don't be shy with the like and/or subscribe button if you can. Joining me to look ahead to Leinster's URC semi-final, someone back for his 117th Harpen cap. Hello once more to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan.
How are we? The sun is out. It is Friday. I am trying to be positive. You've put your jersey on. Fair play to you. I'm saving it for tomorrow morning.
There you go. And just before we start, Keego, after last weekend's rugby, you brought something up in the WhatsApp group about maybe we're feeling a bit rugbyed out. What do you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So, long story longer. I met someone after dropping the kids to school, played rugby with him years ago, was saying, I'll see you at the match on Saturday. He said, I'm not going. I said, Are you not going? Bring the kids and all that sort of stuff. And he said, No, I'm rugbyed out. I did the Northampton thing. I've taken the trips in previous years and I just need a bit of a break. And I kind of, that kind of resonated with me a little bit. Like when we were in the stands last weekend, obviously there's a bit of noise around us, but like it was empty. And I know the darts were off and all that sort of stuff. But there's number one, the fans maybe have scarpered. They're not used to the long-term memories that we all have. But I do think people are rugbyed out. I do think it's similar to the come down after the World Cup in, was it 2019 or whatever it was? We are all starting to feel it, and the supporters are going back and forth on very serious topics, which is great. What supporters do, fans have just scarpered off to something else. So I'm fighting that being rugbyed out feeling. And the way I'm lucky to be able to do it by bringing the kids to the stadium. Leinster do the family tickets, which is great value, and I can see them enjoying it, and that brings me back into the game. It stops me being a grumpy old bald man. Watching them enjoy it brings me back into the game. But it is a real thing. I think a lot of people are rugbyed out.
Oh, it's true. I mean, you look at the well, I mean, it's supposed to be called a rugby season, right? I mean, it used to be like, these months of the year, this is rugby season, and
Yep.
then everything finishes, and then we have a few months where we take it off. That's the off season, and
Hmm.
then it starts up again, and we're ready for it by then because we've had a break from it. And
Yep.
you're used to scheduling. Your people who go to matches all the time, take the flights, book their trips and all this kind of stuff. They're used to that, and it goes back to the old pre-professional days when back then the rugby season was just February and March. It was just
Yeah.
Six Nations to most people. That's what they thought. But then it became, we are used to football season and how long that takes. So rugby season evolved. We had Magners League, we had Heineken Cup, we had all this stuff. It was a full season that was fine. But now it's gotten to a stage where, I mean, this is a semifinal at the end of the season, but it is June, and we're not really used to rugby in June.
Mm.
But even so, when this is all over, you got the Lions Tour, you got the World's Under 20s, then you got the Women's Interpros, the Women's Rugby World Cup, and by the time that's done, the new URC is starting up again. So fans that are expected to go to these games and get emotionally invested in these games, like I suppose we do need a break, and that's just the fans. We're not actually out there playing the rugby, so there's a player welfare as well. It's a lot of rugby expecting them to play, and maybe it's we're going to be talking about injuries and whatever. Maybe that's one of the reasons why that's happening.
Yeah, 100%. Like as you say, when the season goes on for 100 years, there's a fine balance in contact sport or combat sports or anything like that where they need to be bruised up, they need to be calloused up to perform. But then the more you're doing, the more you're going to get calloused up and the more injuries are going to come up. Like there are a lot of the weird little injuries like calves and the smaller muscles because they're all monsters. Even looking at Gibson Park last weekend, he's a big boy, but in comparison to Snyman, it's a different thing. But it's a lot of the smaller muscles that are breaking down on a lot of these players now, and that's just workload, and that's the worry. So, like it's great for us to watch rugby all year round, and if you're a supporter, you're going to enjoy it. But player welfare is going to be massive. Like obviously, impact above the shoulders is terrible. Even just the whiplash of a tackle is terrible. But it's the small muscles. If you look at injury reports, it's smaller muscles that are breaking down.
Yeah, it's in two levels there. From the fans' point of view, we need a break from it, but from the players' point of view, they do too.
Yeah.
And you'd hope that the powers that be are doing something about it. Unfortunately, all we're hearing from them these days is more competitions. There's a Club Rugby World Cup. There's a Club Rugby World Cup. There's a Nations League. All this extra stuff. There's got to be they've got to find a sweet spot there somehow because fans can, and it can't be like the football. I know football goes all year round as
Yeah.
well, but rugby's a different sport and it's got its own thing. So anyway, listen, hopefully we can. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, if all this money being generated brings people like Stuart Lancaster back to Ireland, like I'm happy with that. So fair play, Connacht. I'm delighted with that news during the week. We weren't going to talk about it.
Nope.
Delighted.
Definitely. That's a good positive note to end that on because we are actually going to talk about more rugby that's coming this weekend. We're going to move on to our feature match of this week, which is, of course, Leinster v Glasgow in the semifinals of the 24-25 BKT United Rugby Championship. This game is taking place once again at the Aviva Stadium on Saturday, June the 7th, kicking off at 2:45 p.m. TV coverage is on RTE2, Premier Sports 1, and URC.tv. The Leinster named their matchday squad at lunchtime on Friday. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be right there on the screen. Or for pod listeners, it's in the program notes. Keego has picked out some points over that Leinster team, starting with the back row.
Yeah, big job for the back row. I haven't heard injury reports or anything as we're talking, so I don't know if that's affected selection. It's a big call putting Scott Penny in there. Again, I don't know if that's injury related or whatever. When he first broke through, he was on a tremendous run. Injuries crept in, all that sort of stuff. But he has a massive job. I think anytime Van der Fleer's not in a squad, the opposition back row go, oh, the little stars go off for them. But the back row are going to have a massive job. Now, Conan, it's another opportunity for him to be the captain that he is. Watching him live, he's a fantastic player, fantastic leader. But it's a big day. Like Ryan Baird is a very quick player. People say he's not a big player, but like he's a line out threat, he's a break threat, and he made a lot of tackles last week. But they have a massive job to do this weekend.
Yeah, the injury report from last week wasn't promising. There was a lot of further assessment required, which is not what you want to hear. We heard that for Josh. It was for Ringrose. It was for Tommy O'Brien. Now it's good news. Tommy's back. Yep. Tommy's back in the starting lineup. That is good news. Dan Sheehan back to the start, back from the bench to start. That is good news. But you put that up against all the names we're missing. I mean, we were already missing Furlong, Henshaw. Then you put Doris, Ringer, Josh, and now Hugo as well. Hugo wasn't in that injury report. He must have picked up a knock during the week. Hasn't been confirmed as we're recording, but it's just it's those any team would miss those players. We've got good guys coming in behind them, but I mean that's a lot of quality to be gone for sure. Your second point is about the bench.
Love it. I am more comfortable with a 5-3 as opposed to 6-2. There's a lot of players on there. I think if a kick is needed, Death taxes Ross Byrne. I'm glad that he's going to get a run out before he moves off on us. But the 5-3 is far more ideal for me than 6-2. We're looking to play ball this weekend, which is great, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, it's you spoke about the pressure that's going to be on our back row. The one thing switching to a 5-3 does it gives a little less support to that back row, unfortunately. So we're going to need a lot from that starting team. I mean, you mentioned Penny. I mean, he's been a great prospect over the years. He's done really well. But I mean, anyone would be a big drop off on Josh. World Player of the Year and all that stuff. So it's a lot of pressure on him, especially he's up against Rory Darge. So there's a lot on his shoulders. We got Max Deegan on the bench, ready to come on. So hopefully he'll be able to make an impact too. But overall, it is a good bench. Archie Snyman is on our bench. He was just this morning, as we're recording, named a Players Player of the Year for the whole league, and now he's not on the starting team for a semifinal. It's that's just how this game goes. Ross Byrne. That could be interesting. Now we've talked about Sam's form. Maybe having the backup, knowing there's backup there on the bench, might help Sam's game during the game. We played much more kicking style last weekend. We'll see how we go against Glasgow. But Ross Byrne could make the difference in the final stages if it's close. So a lot of interesting selections there. Okay. Now it's time to have a quick look at the Glasgow Warriors. They're the reigning URC champions. They finished fourth in the URC. This is actually their third visit to the Viva Stadium in just a couple of months. The first was a 52-0 Champions Cup hiding in April. Then in May, they still lost, but got much closer in the final match of the regular season. And they definitely impressed in their quarterfinal victory over the Stormers. What do you make of their lineup, Keego?
Yeah, 100%. Again, similar to last week, as we mentioned, they have no fear of the blue jersey. They can see what's happening. They're not going to be taken by surprise by anything on our side. I love their 9 and 10, and I love their back row. They're like, and the back row is really they're going to fancy the job this weekend. So they're my two favorite pieces of that Glasgow team.
Yeah, the what I was looking for first was their centers. They were missing. Now there was a stage where they were missing when they came in April. They were missing both Jones and Tuapalatu, and that's huge miss for them. And they've both been named to the Lions team. That just shows the quality they are now. Only Tuapalatu is back, which means they put Jordan at 12. I thought he did pretty okay at 10 last week, and I thought he might be a different. He could make the difference for them, but they put Hastings back at 10. So we'll see how that goes. But like you say, the back row, I think it could be key. Venter is very strong. Darge has always been quality, and he could be looking to dominate there. So I think we're just going to see how that goes. But I think most of this game, whatever Glasgow's ability, even though they are the champions, even though they played well last week, I think a lot of how we're going to do in this game depends on our side and how we handle things. Okay, now we have a quick look at the officials. It's Andrea Piardi is the referee with a Welsh assistant and some Italians there as well. The weather for Dublin Fort, it looks very similar to what we got last weekend. 14, a little bit colder. Breezy, rain, 60% rain. So it looks pretty much what happened last week. So I would definitely
bring the poncho.
Bring definitely. The poncho. Yeah. There's only one other match this weekend worth talking about. It's the Bulls for the Sharks. What do you think of that?
Well, it's a home derby, and you kind of go in these games. Knockout rugby, anything can happen. Now, I put the Bulls up in that game. They've obviously got the better form going in, but the Sharks are really stubborn, and you just don't know the longer they stay in it. But I've picked the Bulls, but I have control of the telly again this weekend, so I'll be watching the two games.
Brilliant. Well, the thing about the Bulls is that they're a bit like Leinster, and that I think we both feel it's about time we won this damn competition. It's the fourth year going into it, so they'll be looking to make the most of home advantage. And the Sharks, they're without Etzebeth, but still, their team is full of stars right the way through. They've never realized that potential. They only just got past Munster in the last round, so you got to fancy the Bulls at home there. But like you say, but home derby, like you say, it could go either way. Okay, so going back to our match, Keego, it's head on the block time. How do you see it going?
We are either about it or we are not about it. So I've been conservative. I know we were talking about the bookies have, is it -21 or something like that? There was something in the WhatsApp.
Something. It's 12 actually. 12.
-12. Sorry, dyslexia kicked in there. But I have us +7. But I think when we start rolling, I think Ross Byrne is going to have something to do at the end of this game. I just have a feeling, and he deserves it, and we deserve it. But at the end of the day, we are either about it or we are not. We're getting to the point where it's got to be delivered, and that's from a supporter point of view. We can't be. If Rory McIlroy lost that Masters in February, March, April, whenever it was, he would never win another major, and we are getting close to that. So we are either about it or we are not. Leinster +10.
Yeah, I mean, Rory McIlroy is a good example because, I mean, you look all the years he was looking to win the Masters, and he always had the quality to win the Masters, but then it took a playoff to do it. And if you said it years ago, he says, "Well, would you want to do it in a playoff?" He'd say, "Of course." And Leinster used to play it a certain way. Leinster team and winning games by 50 points here, there, and the other. Would we take a 1-point win or a 1-point win with a Ross Byrne kick in the last minute? Damn right we would. And that's one of the reasons we got someone like Nina in. I think we can do it. I can totally see us winning and not all the Leinster fans being happy, but I definitely see us finishing it on top. But listen, like you say, if we're not careful, if we don't bring it, if we don't, maybe improve levels from last week, and we need players that we wouldn't expect to step up. If that doesn't happen, there is a way to Glasgow win, which is not ideal, but I still back Leinster to do it for sure.
We need to take the points when the points are on show. Take the points. We don't need to go up the line every time. Take the points, but Absolutely. It's easy from the couch.
Oh, it's always easy from the couch. Okay, listen, we're going to leave it there, man. Many thanks for joining us. Do you have any stand-up gigs coming up?
I've actually had a couple of gigs on the family holiday, which I haven't told them about. So next gigs are going to be over in Mallorca. My Spanish is not very good, so we'll see how we get on. You'll hear the screams from wherever you are over here.
Very good. And of course, you'll find the link to all Keego stuff in the program notes. And many thanks to you all for checking out our latest preview show. If you can, do tune in to Dublin South FM after the 5 o'clock news to catch our latest Harpin segment. Then be sure to enjoy the match wherever you are. Please leave a comment on our Facebook page after the full-time whistle. We will, of course, have our Rap Pod for you, which we record on Sunday night. Hopefully, you'll help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.